When trust breaks, it doesn't always happen in some grand way. Sometimes it's as small as someone borrowing your things without asking. That's how this story began, with something so ordinary, so harmless at first glance. My brother taking my laptop without asking. But what came after changed the way I saw him, my family, and the fragile thread that holds relationships together. I've always been careful with my things, especially my laptop. It wasn't just a device, it was my workspace, my diary, my creative outlet, and the place where I stored my projects, notes, and personal memories. My brother and I shared a decent relationship. Not too close, not too distant, just like many siblings who live under one roof, but lead different lives. He was the easygoing one, always charming, sometimes reckless. I was the cautious one, the planner, the one who double-checks things before shutting down the computer. One morning, I woke up and noticed my laptop wasn't on my desk. At first, I thought I might have misplaced it, but as I looked around, reality hit. It was gone. My brother's door was half open, and through the crack, I could see the familiar glow of my screen. He was using it. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, so I waited. Maybe he needed it for something quick. But as hours passed, frustration started bubbling up. He hadn't even asked. When I finally got it back that evening, something felt off. There were fingerprints all over the screen, and my browser history showed pages I hadn't opened. My desktop looked slightly different. Folders moved, files renamed. It wasn't paranoia. Something was definitely tampered with. I decided to dig in, not out of curiosity, but out of a gut instinct that something wasn't right. When I checked my recent files, I found several documents that weren't mine. One was titled simply, Plan. Another was a folder hidden deep inside the drive, with a name so strange it caught my attention. Random numbers, almost like a code. Inside were screenshots, private messages, and financial spreadsheets that had no connection to me. As I scrolled, the reality of what I was seeing hit like a thunderbolt. My brother wasn't just borrowing my laptop. He was using it for something serious, something potentially dangerous. There were emails to unknown contacts, conversations about transferring money, and files labeled with company names I'd never heard of. It looked like he was part of some side business, one that wasn't legal. According to recent reports, nearly 28% of cyber-related fraud cases involve insiders, people using others' devices or identities to cover their tracks. My laptop, without my knowledge, had become part of something much bigger. At that moment, a wave of emotions hit me. Confusion, anger, disbelief, and heartbreak. How could he do this? I didn't want to jump to accusations, but I needed answers. When I confronted him, his reaction told me everything before he even spoke. His face went pale, his hands started trembling slightly. He didn't deny it right away. He tried to deflect, saying it wasn't what it looked like. But when I mentioned the emails, the folder, the documents, he went silent. He finally admitted he was in trouble. He had fallen into the wrong crowd, trying to make quick money. What he didn't realize was that using my device had not only violated my trust, but also potentially implicated me. Legally, the laptop's owner can be traced for digital activity, and statistics show that nearly 1 in 5 cybercrime victims initially get blamed due to device misuse. It could have destroyed my reputation, my career, and my credibility. I remember sitting there, numb, trying to process everything. It wasn't just about a laptop anymore. It was about betrayal. Family is supposed to be your safest space. When that trust cracks, it shakes everything you thought was solid. I decided to secure everything immediately. Changed passwords, wiped the system, installed two-step authentication, and backed up my essential files. I even got my hard drive checked for malware. What I found later made things worse. There was a remote access tool hidden in the background. Someone else had been monitoring or accessing files from my laptop without me knowing. That discovery turned a family problem into a full-blown security threat. According to cybersecurity studies, over 60% of households share digital devices without proper protection, leading to unintentional privacy breaches. My case was no exception. I'd been too trusting, assuming that home meant safe. But that illusion shattered completely. The irony? My brother had started all this thinking it was harmless. But digital footprints don't lie. Every click, every file, every message was traceable. and when I took the data to a specialist, they confirmed that there were multiple connections to suspicious IP addresses. I had two choices: report him or protect him. My conscience tore in two. If I reported it, he could face serious consequences, but if I stayed silent, I'd risk being dragged into something I didn't do. That internal battle kept me awake for nights. In a world where 74% of fraud victims are betrayed by someone they know, I was now part of that statistic. Eventually, I decided to confront the truth head-on, but privately. I gave him one chance to make things right. We sat down and went through everything. He promised to come clean, to delete the data, to cut ties with whoever had pulled him into it. But I didn't take his word for it alone. I made sure to safeguard myself. I kept digital copies of everything, not for revenge, but for protection. Over time, things started to calm down, but our relationship never went back to what it was. Trust, once broken, doesn't heal overnight. You can forgive, but you never forget. What shocked me most wasn't the illegal part. It was realizing how easy it is for someone you love to cross a line without understanding the weight of it. This story isn't just about a brother using a laptop. It's about digital responsibility, boundaries, and awareness. In 2025, over 80% of personal data leaks happen due to close contacts mishandling devices or shared accounts. It's not always hackers, as sometimes it's people under your own roof. It's a wake-up call for anyone who thinks privacy only matters online. I started implementing new habits. Every device had a password, every file was encrypted, and every shared moment online became a conscious choice. I began talking about this more openly, how trust must go hand in hand with responsibility. My brother eventually took accountability, found a job, and worked to regain our trust. It's a long road, but at least now there's awareness. The emotional toll of betrayal isn't just emotional, it's psychological and even physical. Studies have shown that betrayal from a close family member triggers the same stress response as trauma, increasing cortisol levels by up to 30%. It took time to heal, to focus on rebuilding confidence not only in others, but also in my own judgment. This experience taught me that sometimes it is not the strangers who break your trust. It is the ones who know your passwords, who have access to your world. But it also taught me the value of boundaries, digital security, and second chances. My laptop became a symbol of vulnerability, but also of recovery. Now, every time I power it on, I remember how easily trust can be tested. The shock I felt that day wasn't just about what I found. It was about realizing how thin the line is between love and betrayal, between carelessness and danger. It's a story many of us can relate to, whether through family, friends, or colleagues. And it's a reminder that in a connected world, awareness is your first defense. It took one careless act for my trust to break, but it took strength, communication, and boundaries to rebuild it. In the end, what shocked me most wasn't what I found on that laptop. It was how much it revealed about people, relationships, and the power of accountability.